Our next guest is our community correspondent in Del Cerro. Please welcome back real estate expert Billy Colestock and his special guest, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, Jay Wilson.
Here they are. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Glad to be here.
Very good. All right, great to have you on the show today. Mr. Everything in Del Cerro.
Well, I'm not quite that. I've been there for a while, since 1976.
Since 76. So that's before I was born.
Is it? Yeah, well, that's
so
okay.
In my mind, you're Mr. Everything in Del
All right.
Cerro. So what are your official titles, though, Jay?
Well, I'm Secretary of the Del Cerro Action Council, which is a community-based group, and then I serve as Vice Chair of Navajo Community Planners, which is the official group recognized by the cities with all land issues in relation to the Navajo area, which is basically Grantville, Ally Gardens, Del Cerro, and San Carlos.
Yeah, which has to do with the developments and things like that, which we're going to discuss today. Billy, obviously, I mean, I would ask you the question, why would you want to bring Jay on the show today? But obviously, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro.
No, exactly. You know, one of the great things, Jay is just an example of the type of community efforts that we have going on in Del Cerro, San Carlos. And it's great to have him on because, you know, hopefully people are going to get involved, find out something that he can speak about today, that they can get involved with in the community and make the community stronger. Yeah,
well, there's a couple hot topics in there because this is an area where there really hasn't been a lot of new development in a long, long time, right? And
definitely.
now we've got...
It's been a couple of decades.
It's been a couple decades. Yeah. And now we've got a couple things brewing, right?
We do. One is development proposed by the Coleridge Company, which is just south of the Chevron gas station coming up from the freeway on College Avenue. On the east side, there's a canyon there, and they're proposing to build 26 single family homes. And the community is very concerned just because of the ingress and egress. The original concept, everybody thought if they'd ever develop that, they'd have to purchase 1 or 2 homes on Marne Avenue so that the access would be not on College Avenue. But the city has told them supposedly that they can have a development with an ingress and egress just below the Chevron station. And traffic gets pretty heavy in there, and it's pretty speedy at times in there. And you've got the exit from the freeway onto College Avenue going into Del Cerro where they're merging, and all of a sudden now going to have to merge with 26 units full of houses and lots of traffic.
Billy, is 26 homes, is that enough to change the traffic paradigm there?
Well, actually, the company did a couple traffic studies, and what I'm understanding today is that it's actually going to only change the traffic by 1%. But where it's located at inside the community is definitely a challenge for getting in and out because there's only one way in and one way out on a one-way street. So, and there's a lot of no U-turns in the area. So a potential buyer in this community is going to have to definitely think out their routes. Just even to go to the grocery store, we were talking about right before the segment, is just to go to the grocery store, you're going to have to really consider, how am I going to get home?
Right. Yeah, the no U-turns is always a bummer. You're like, oh, we'll just get up. It really helps keeps the traffic down, right?
Yeah, and the city doesn't require a traffic study because the development is so small, but they've done one traffic study and then a follow-up they just did because of the concern in the community.
I don't know how in the world they're going to build 26 homes in that hole. I mean, it's like, seriously, what's the plan there? Are they going to fill it in or something?
Yeah, they do. There's a lot of work that has to be done. It's zoned R1, so it's
ready to go that way.
To go that way, exactly. There are 5,000 square foot lots on an average, and they have a lot of debris that they have to remove, stuff that was dumped there before, so it's not a pristine environment totally. So they have a lot of excavation to do. So that's a concern with the people that live on Marne Avenue, which is going to be development literally in their own backyard. It's
probably a little noise too.
It's a little noisy, and probably some dust, even with all the environmental requirements of keeping the dust down and things. It's going to be an impact. Okay, no question.
Going to be interesting, but it's moving forward. That's going to happen.
It's moving forward. They're waiting for some additional feedback from the city about their proposed plans, and so they're keeping us informed about what the status is. So we'll see what happens next.
And I have to say the development company has been very active at appearing at the Del Cerro Action Council and also the Navajo Planning Commission to give their proposed plans so that they're taking the community feedback and really listening to what's going on and the feedback of the community.
Love to have that developer on this show.
We would love to have
that. That would be very interesting.
Yes.
Just to kind of hear some of the inner workings of how that works out.
Yeah, I imagine once they get to the point where they've got a real plan that the city has approved, so they can come forth and really talk about it rather than we think we're going to be able to do this, then you'll probably be able to get them on.
Okay. What about the Grantville development project? What's going
Well,
on
that's
there?
been a long time process. I mean, that's been going on for over 20 years, the redevelopment of Grantville. It's been there a long time, which is basically right off of Mission Gorge Road. And there are two areas, Area A, which is from the freeway down to Kaiser Hospital, and Area B, which goes from Kaiser Hospital basically up to Mission Trails Regional Park, primarily on the west side of Mission Gorge in that area. Originally it was a redevelopment area designated, and then our current governor decided he'd do away with redevelopment areas, so that kind of ground everything to a halt. But within the last year or so, the city finally adopted a new Grantville master plan update. So now it's beginning to move forward. Traffic is always a concern. Mission Gorge can be a real traffic jam at times. All of a sudden, if people are concerned that, all right, we're going to generate all new traffic because all of these new single-family units that can be built are homes and condos and apartments, upwards potentially of 6,000 over a period of about 30 years. Traffic pattern will change. The traffic count, they think, is going to be pretty much the same, but the hours that everybody travels are going to change.
Billy, do these types of developments, either one of these that we're discussing, do they have an impact on the real estate market for homeowners or real estate prices at all?
Well, of course. I mean, we are bringing in new construction to an area that otherwise hasn't had some new construction for 20 plus years. So it's definitely good to have new construction as an option to somebody who maybe otherwise want to live in the community but don't want to purchase an older home. So definitely going to bring new faces to the community, and then also it revitalizes it in a way that when we're, especially the Grantville, if we're going to be redeveloping an entire area, that's going to bring a lot of new businesses. It's going to bring a lot of new homeowners. It's going to bring a lot of new people to the community.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me about the traffic thing is that always comes up and everyone's always concerned about it, and they pay all this money for these traffic studies. I was like, traffic has to do with cars, not homes, right? Yes. So like, unless there's more people, then you won't have more cars. You know, so if people, in other words, if people are just moving from an apartment to a house, that's just spacing things out. It doesn't really necessarily add traffic. So I think the traffic concerns are usually a little overworked up, you know? But in Del Cerro, I can understand, because that is a little funny area.
And you know, I'll speak to, there was one gal at the last community meeting who spoke up, and I believe she lives on one of the streets that'll be affected if this development project goes in by the Chevron, where she's saying, you know, hey, the alternative is to drive down my neighborhood street. And so there might be some might be some people who come out of that development and drive down the street. So I mean, it's a real concern of hers. She has children, an otherwise safe street, now maybe a little bit busier.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true as well. And Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, Jay, tell us about your passion project. Tell us about the park. I want to hear about that while I got you here.
I'm the executive director of the Mission Trails Regional Park Foundation. The city owns and operates Mission Trails. We're kind of the support group. It's a real gem in San Diego and really for everywhere. I mean, it's the largest urban open space park of its kind west of the Mississippi. It covers 7,200 and about 13 acres, I think. There's 60 miles of trails in the park. Latest thing is the 5 Peak Challenge. If you like to hike, take the 5 Peak Challenge. Climb the 5 peaks in the park at your own pace. You can do it over a day. You can do it in a month.
Can you do it in one day?
Yeah,
it's been done. The record is
done.
2 hours and 22 minutes. And the part of the guy's email address was Sherpa. And I said, where'd that come from? And he said, running and hiking the trails in Nepal. He's an ultra marathoner, runs 100 miles. Yeah. Wow. So take the challenge. Come and get we'll give you a little nice lapel pin, a certificate.
Okay.
Join the 5 Peak Challenge.
The 5 Peak
We started it in November, and we're getting close to 1,100 people that have completed it already.
Wow. Very, very cool. Yeah. Jay Wilson, Mr. Everything in Del Cerro, thank you so much for being here, man.
My pleasure.
Really, really appreciate your time today. Billy Colestock, another great job bringing in an amazing guest for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free. Show started today, so hashtag all of this stuff. You go first.
Now that's changing. That's changing. But the wake up across the country, we
I
have to
gotta
do
know,
something with
what
the
are you
kids.
considering investing
Okay.
And you didn't have to look far,
So,
but
in fact, I just did it
and
this morning.
see
I bought
places
Remember
like
Steve Bick was
Chula
on the
Vista.
show.
I'll give you an
Yes.
example.